This is Linus Lopez. We are talking in the background of the PLDC 2019 in Rotterdam. Today we have Light and Communication, a discussion between Tapio Rosenius and Katia, an emerging lighting designer.
What could it mean when light communicates? So this sort of slightly like definitions. So if we say that, you know, if you build a large LED TV screen, then is that light communicating, or is that actually media communicating?
The content behind it as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And whereas then if you boil it down to in steps, in terms of down in resolution, to maybe a lower kind of abstraction of pixelated technologies and things like this, all the way down to, let's say, a street lighting.
Yeah.
Or some kind of a floodlight of a building, or any other, even personal light in an urban context, then how does that light communicate? Because it's no more direct media.
Media, yes, yeah.
And because the light is so strong, visually speaking, it has that power to really affect. So if I, right now, would go to the center of Barcelona and all the street lighting in Rambla would suddenly change to a block of red, block of yellow and block of red, that city would go up in flames.
Yeah.
Because that would become a political
statement, exactly. It will communicate like...
it would communicate aggression.
Aggression, yeah.
In an urban context.
From my research that I was developing for light as a medium to enhance communication in urban spaces, but by focusing on sociopolitical, environmental and health issues, I realized that light has a strong feeling to actually make people excited and grab their attention. Mm-hmm. And then it's on the designer that is gonna, or the designer or the municipality or whoever is behind the actual commission of an installation or behind the project, who decides what is the message and what should be the message.
Well, that's a very important question. Who becomes the author, let's say,
yeah.
or the curator? My argument would be that a designer or lighting designer is extremely well positioned to take the role of that authorship, but of course they need to
collaborate.
Yeah, have a pretty good understanding of at least how to find the stakeholders and then how to communicate with the stakeholders.
I think the context is really crucial, because I was thinking as well, like an installation, let's imagine like a lighting installation that we want to communicate any kind of message, how this message could be visible in Times Square, where light is like considered as visual noise sometimes, you know, like full of colorful advertisements. How can we create something as designers that can be impactful and give a message? We just turn everything off. It's the opposite of attracting attention. So I would like to help you and people, crowds, through peripheral vision. Yeah. Where I don't demand your attention at all. I don't want you to think about what I'm doing at all. I'm just suggesting that the light, and nudging you in a helpful manner. So that's then information. As an example, we worked on a metro station in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, with Snøhetta Architects. So the principle there for the intervention and our technology was quite simply to just give a clear indication with light of, let's say, the left-hand side is the blue metro line and the right-hand side is the... And as that sounds kind of basic and trivial, why don't you do it with a poster? But nevertheless, because it's light, it's very instantly understandable information again, so I don't need to think about it. I'm there with my smartphone, I walk into the space and I know instantly, I just know where I'm going. So I'm doing something completely different. But then additionally, I feel that there's a faster movement which has a certain kind of directionality to it. That movement, again, very sort of subtle way, just suggests me that maybe the train is coming now. Yeah. So maybe I should go a little bit faster. Yes. But I don't need to learn that. Yeah. I don't need to make a thinking process about it. So that's an easy example, but to achieve that, you still need a fair amount of
digital infrastructure, sensing, scheduling, understanding of that. So the system needs to understand the environment to allow that to happen. So this is ambient communication. This is peripheral
communication.
Exactly. Not to be afraid to step outside of, let's say, the kind of role that you think it's been expected from you, because I have seen somehow a lot of this narrowing, this sort of desperate will to create a very defined, narrow scope of services, and like that's exactly when it becomes incredibly vulnerable. For younger designers like yourself, it's like don't limit yourself. Like call yourself what you like, but do this and do this and do it. Grab a bigger thing, because that begins to lead you somewhere that the client most likely will give a lot of value.
And are you talking about skills as well, like collaborations with different kind of disciplines, but also the skills that as designers we are building? What do you mean?
Skills are always good and also important, but I think it's even more important is just approach.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So
to be open to.
Yeah, because skills you can sort of procure. So you can hire someone who can do this really well, and someone who can do this. And you can be the leader, you can be the author, but behind you there's a team.
A team, yeah.
Always
but
a team.
you are building together as a puzzle, let's say, in order to go ahead.
It's not the light that's polluting, it's the media that has polluted your mind, right?
Okay.
So that you think that if light communicates, it means LED panels and light everywhere, and it's this 1950s kind of dystopia concept. I think somebody told me that most of the light pollution is reflected light.
Okay.
You know what's one of the most incredibly powerful functions of lighting? So it can be switched off.
Yes.
Like you can't switch architecture off.